All right, well, here's the GLTC build. It's a 1990 BMW 3 Series. I think it's a 325. I'm honestly not sure, but it's kind of pieced together from all different. It's been an endurance car for probably the past 15 years, like AER and all that. It's not the prettiest. I mean, it's got some dings and dents. I've cleaned up some of it so far. Not gonna make it perfect. That is not the meaning for this car. It's going to be a clean build, but it's not gonna be perfect. My last builds were perfect, and when you make a mistake, it really sucks to have to come home and try to make it perfect again. So I'm not gonna do that with this one. Like I said, it'll be presentable, but it won't be perfect. That's what this build is going to be. We'll get into that one later though. So the cage in this thing is super solid. It's 1 3/4 inches. It fits super tight. The welds are good. It's a nice cage. And that was my main thing when I was looking for a car, was a new chassis, was that I wanted a solid cage. And it's so hard nowadays to find a nice cage. So this one has been teched by probably 5 different organizations in past. It's got a couple logbook sticker there, one from WRL there. So there's a history with this car, which is pretty good. Izzy's from St. Louis, who's a pretty good cage builder, did some modifications. The first one, the car had an Expert Ace door bar. You can actually see some of it is still up there. I need to clean up. But a lot of people don't run passenger seats in their race cars, that's the boat I was in before, but I honestly want to put a passenger seat back in it. I'm constantly like trying to learn, and being able to have somebody that knows like a track or knows more than I do, which is common, can come in and sit and show me and tell me where I'm going wrong, instead of pulling GoPro video and trying to feed off that. I don't do well after I get out of the car. I'm kind of more like I need instant learning instead of like, I can't go home and read data. I've never been that type of person. So they did a nice NASCAR style door bar, which will make it nice for the passenger to be able to sit and have a lot of room and be really safe. I do want to cut all this out of these doors so it's not jagged, and get rid of these plastic door handles. And then most cars have plastic clips that the rod connects to, so that's a big failure point. So I'm going to do door pulls with stainless lines, so you can quick exit and not have to worry about things failing. The other thing Izzy built was this firewall, and I will have to say, like, I am amazed by this when I look at it. He did a really good job. It fits super tight. It's clean. The attention to detail is there. I was really happy. This is what drew me to this car, was the work that Izzy did. And I know how much it is to have something like this done, and to be able to have this done and not have to do it myself was a big bonus with this car. So it does have like a containment for the fuel system. It is a factory fuel tank in it right now, but all like the inline fuel pump and stuff is all mounted like underneath this, and it's really hard to work on. So I want to move it. There is an opening that goes back behind the firewall into the trunk. So I'm going to move it like horizontal right behind this firewall in the trunk area, so it's easy to work on. And just, you could spot leaks, and just, that's the biggest thing with a race car. It's just the ease to work on things and spot issues is a big thing. So then I'll end up painting the cage and the floor and cleaning it up, and obviously redoing all this wiring. I'm gonna buy probably some kind of PDM unit and rewire the entire car from scratch. I really do enjoy doing that. I'm gonna end up reusing this. It's a Race Dash 2 is what they call it. Dash, it's kind of like super old tech, but it works. I mean, it lights up. It has shift lights and stuff. So, I mean, it works. It's got fuel or water pressure or oil pressure, water temp, fuel, level, and there's another screen with a couple more. So it has enough to get me by. Shift light and stuff. It's actually got a gear indicator, which is pretty cool. I wonder how it's calibrated though. From there, I'm gonna get rid of the sliders because they kind of sketch me out. It's got an AKG short shifter, which is actually pretty nice. It feels super crisp. So from there, I'm gonna redo all this wiring and have like a bulkhead that unclips from the back here. It's gonna be super trick wiring. I really enjoy doing the detail work of the wiring. So as you back up a little further, Izzy's also installed the Lexan kit for the previous owner. Condor Speed Shop kit that he installed, and I think he did some of his own touches with the speed holes, which I really think is cool. I mean, it gives it that more race car feel with the speed holes. This side has a cutout for a neck duct, a double one. So one hose will go to the back of my seat, which I'm gonna do like an Ultra Shield full containment, and then make my own insert so it's super comfortable. And then the top one will go to like a pull-through fan and go to the back of my helmet, the top of my helmet. So that's what I've learned, like trying to keep yourself cool is the biggest thing, cool and comfortable. So from there, the driver's side back window actually has a really cool, took it off to fix some dents in the quarter. It actually has a cool slider system that Izzy built. So it bolts on right there when the window bolts in. And then this little glass, or this little piece of Lexan slides and like locks in right here. Yeah, it's already scratched up. Lexan sucks. That's the only bad thing about Lexan. I've always wanted it, but it scratches so easy. So that slides open, and since this car was built as an endurance car, you can easily reach the back seat brace, pull the pin, move the seat forward, repin it. So it makes it super convenient to do stuff like that. I'm just gonna use it to tie my harnesses when I put the car together and stuff, and then probably never open it again. So from there, we'll look into the trunk area and what the plan is for that. So like I said, the fuel system's I'm gonna pull, no e-brake, I'm gonna get rid of all that. I'm actually gonna probably do like an inline hydraulic handbrake. Honda actually came out with a cool kit for Hondas, and I'm gonna kind of use that for this, and hopefully have an e-brake that way, just for transporting the car. It makes it so much easier. But anyway, I'm gonna run the fuel pump and all the fuel system like right here. Have its own little like containment, not crazy containment, but it'll have a cover and stuff. I'm gonna cut out all this. I have no idea what they did with this. This is all gonna get cut out, and that's gonna be flat plated. They definitely hit it with a hammer to try to clear the exhaust. Also, I'm gonna get rid of all this. So most cars from the side, like that run in like GLTC, try to cut as much of their back bumper as possible so it lets the air escape from under the car and doesn't hold it. Well, this thing is like a big parachute. So I'm gonna cut it like right here. I'm gonna keep a factory bumper so the car, because I'm not trying to save a bunch of weight. The car's actually already underweight. So I'm gonna cut it right here all the way across, and then I'm gonna have to make a panel to fit in here and redo the wheel well. But I'll end up redoing all that, and that'll be flat panel. I'm gonna get the battery out of here, put it like in the center in a battery box, isolate it and all that. This is a battery cut off. I'm gonna redo all that. I've got a CarTech electronic system for it. As you can tell, the wiring, this is why it's getting redone. Like I just don't understand why people want to run like this. Like that, this is so easy to ruin a weekend for like what? Like, I just don't get it. So that's what I'll do back here with the trunk area. Just clean and easy to work on things. The car did have a quarter replacement. I didn't find out until I picked the car up. So, which isn't a big deal. I mean, they did a decent job. They kind of had issues where they like blended it, but I can deal with that because I'm gonna wrap the car. I didn't want a perfect paint job. The thing that really bugged me though, the taillight fit like crap. Like there's like an inch gap right here. It's still got a gap. It's just a it's half the size or less than half the size. But I figured out what they did after looking at it for a while. So when I took the bumper off, I noticed this was pushed in a little. So this is where the seam is for the quarter panel. So this got pushed in when the car had an accident of some sort. And they never pulled this back out and lined this back up before they met the new quarter into it. You can see where they kind of just welded it together, all haggard. But you can cut this and get it better, but I'm not sure I want to get into it. Like I said, I don't want to turn this car into chasing, making it perfect. I'm afraid when I cut this, I'm going to find all the other stuff they did wrong here. So I did my best with a couple hammer and dolly setups to get this pulled out and modify the inside structure for the taillight bolted into to get this gap to be pretty close. So like with the bumper on there, it looks pretty good. Definitely you can notice when you get on it that it's not perfect, but with the wrap that I have in mind, you won't notice any of it. So I also cleaned up like the quarters. This side wasn't even rolled and the other side was like crazy pulled. So I did a mild pull on this side and then I cleaned up a little bit of the pull on this side with the fender roller. It looks a lot better now. So we'll see how it actually gets when I get it set up and whatnot. There's a couple dents on the roof that I'm gonna pull. I think this one's pretty bad. Clean up their silicone job. And then that's really it on the back half. It needs a new windshield. It's got a weird crack there. The hood, I'm probably gonna pin it so I can just remove it to work on the car because it opens backwards and gets in the way. The front bumper. So there's no good way with these cars for a front aero. There's like $600 and $800 M one-piece fiberglass bumpers, which if anybody knows fiberglass, it can't wait to explode. So I just didn't think that would be a cost-effective way. So then I went the air dam route, and that's just screwed on there. It has no bottom support. I just wanted to see what it would look like. So I'm going to build like a flat bottom it'll meet up flush and then go flat under to like the oil pan and support that air dam. And then I'll have a cutout for the grill with a kind of, I'll put brake ducts on each side that go to the brake hoses, but the radiator will have its own ductwork boxed in to feed it to maximize that. I'm gonna vent the hood with some cool vents that Condor makes, a center vent and two sides. Looks pretty cool. Might vent the fenders. Like I said, I'm not gonna do a ton of aero at first on the car. I'm mainly gonna drive it and kind of try to develop the suspension first before I get into a lot of aero. Like the back, I probably will do like a little Lexan, like Blackbird has, little Lexan spoiler with adjustable turnbuckles before I do like a 9 Lives wing, just because I don't want to do too much at once, because these cars, like I'm so used to Hondas that have the magic formula that this is what you do and it'll be a balanced car, where this, not a lot of guys run a power to weight class with these and make the power that I want to make. So it's going to take a lot of dialing in, and from that, like the suspension on the car right now isn't the nicest. It's an old set of Bilstein J stocks that they don't make anymore, with ground control coil sleeves with iBox springs. I'm not sure the spring rates offhand. It's got a massive brakes, big brake kit in the front with Willwood calipers, 4 pistons, 2-piece rotors, Carbotech pads. The rear is stock disc with Carbotech pads, stainless lines, the basic track day stuff. It's got Ireland sway bars front and rear with adjustable end links and all that. Poly bushings, which I'm probably going to change to like a spherical Derlin, if I'm saying that right, setup. I'd like to do like a AST or an MCS with remote reservoirs eventually. That's eventually. The wheels on it now are 15 by 8 Coseys. I got 2 sets with the car. I'm gonna use one set as a rain, the other is a backup set of tires. I'm gonna try and stuff under like a 15x9 or a 15x10 under it for like the primary setup. The motor in it is kind of a weird setup. Usually they came with M20s. I can't find this hood pop. So usually they came with M20s. This car has an M42, which is from a later model, 325. And it supposedly refreshed, but it's just not gonna make the power I need to run GLTC with. So the plan was originally to K-swap it, but the budget just probably isn't gonna allow it this year, and not become a money pit. So I'm going to probably do an M54 swap from an E46. It seems to be right in the power that I need, stock without tuning. They're super cheap and available everywhere. That's what's in the spec E46 cars. So we'll see how that does. I'm still messing around with what I'm gonna do. The nice thing about the swap, the M54 swap, it uses like a combination of other BMW mounts. You gotta change the booster because it's too close to the intake. So it will have to be like one from a 944. So the issue with that is, I think you have to change, like, you have to modify the clevis rod length and stuff. But this is what all hits with this factory booster. I'm a big fan of like the honed manual kit in my Honda. So I kind of want to do manual brakes with this, but I'm not going to do too much to this thing at once. I want to learn how to drive it, and then I'm going to slowly, maybe I'll do a pedal box. I don't know. I'm stoked it has this though. ABS. I used to hate on ABS, and then driving this and like doing more racing stuff and whatnot, I see the need for it. Just to have it and have that safety net is great. So I will be retaining the ABS, even though it's I think it's a 3-channel system. So it's not the most advanced, but it definitely works. So from there, I'm getting rid of all this wiring. I'm gonna do a major bulkhead that goes in there. So it'll be quick disconnect, pull the motor. It's got ground control plates, which will do for now. Got like a fancy radiator with dash 20 AN fittings on it that sits underneath. I guess you could call it a tucked radiator. So I might put that in just to build ductwork to it easier and get, I mean, the M54 comes right up to the front of that radiator. So maybe to get it away from the motor a little bit. Power steering, it's got a Z3 rack in it now. I'm not sure if I'm gonna keep power steering. We'll have to see. It's a nice luxury to have, but it's also something else to fail. So we'll see on that. It's got an E36 transmission, 5-speed ZF transmission. So that will bolt right up to M54. It's got a factory limited slip rear diff with 373 or 410 gearing. I'd have to check. But it's not too bad. Car's decent underneath. It's got all the adjustable fanciness. The exhaust is pretty haggard. That will definitely get changed. But I think that's really it with the build. Probably missing some things, but really that's the basics. I definitely plan on documenting everything and kind of going over how I did things and why, because this is what's cool about this chassis, is that no one really does it. So I'm really excited to kind of put my own twist on it and show people like different ways to do it, because everything I've looked at, you can't find it. So that's that build. Hopefully next video we'll get into this crazy thing. But All right. Thanks for listening and watching, and hopefully get some good content for you guys and make it interesting and not just some guy talking at me. So thanks for listening.